Without further ado, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the what episode is it?
Six?
Dang, we're already getting that seven magical average number. I'm glad that we're still surviving.
Yeah. Well, we
Like
haven't
augers.
recorded five, so
Wow. Just, just don't, just don't give out the magic so easily.
I gotta tell the people the truth.
But it's true. We'll get five once six is done tomorrow.
Yep.
So, episode six.
Episode six. I'm
How
your
you
host
been?
today,
Yes, sir.
Mr. The Bees. And I'm here
Gotta get a
today.
better name. I swear to God.
Nah, bro, I keep the bees. And I'm here with my co-host.
It's me! I thought you were going to introduce me. It's Two Love Trouble.
Yeah, we're
Twitch.tv/ Two Love Trouble, Two Love Trouble on your Twitter. You know how it be. Good morning, everybody.
this is a great intro.
It's, of course, it is. And also, I am a proud owner of a new bed.
Oh yeah. This dude be sleeping.
Well, see, here's the thing, though, right? I was able to manage to get a Twin XL under 3K with like completely new. Like I got everything under 3K, like all the shit with extra pillow.
Sounds pretty good.
I don't know if it's worth, but I'm hoping I didn't get scammed, artist. But it is what it is.
I mean, it's better than having a bed that's falling apart.
Well, it's good to have a bed, that's like 10 inch shorter than you, you know.
Yeah, that's always fun.
But how about you?
You know, I'm still alive.
Did you know our last episode is 2 weeks ago uploaded?
Yeah, I'm not the uploader. You've had the footage.
True. I been slacking for about 3 weeks. I ain't gonna lie to you. No slacking no more. By the time you hear this episode 3 should be out by now.
I mean,
If not, we're in big fucking trouble.
we've died if episode 3 isn't out by the time this is here. We've
True,
died if
true.
episode 4
Yep.
or something has gone horribly wrong with episode 4. This intro fucking sucks, dude. I'm
Why
gonna keep it
does it
real with you.
suck? Why does it suck? We have a small talk. We have like 5 to 10 small talk before we go to learn about your 40K.
Absolutely. You're right.
It doesn't suck. You're just pessimistic or tired. And you know what? Same.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
I literally spent 4 fucking hours talking to some salesman, and he's trying to sell me 6K bed, and I'm like, bro,
Just
I don't need a 6K bed.
anytime I go into a place like that, I pretty much just refuse to talk to the salesman and I decide what I want and then I say, hey, this is what I want. And if they try to sell me something else, I just say, hey, this is what I want.
I needed to butter him up. He literally did the L Classic switcheroo, so I L Classic switcheroo back with a little butter on him, and then hit him with a hey, fucking, I'll buy this now if you lower the price by like 30%.
Were you in like one of the like an actual mattress store, or were you in a furniture
Yeah, I was
store?
at a mattress store. I was at a mattress store.
Well, there's your problem. Those aren't real stores. They get like 10 customers a month.
I know, and that's why it was easier to negotiate because they want sales.
I guess.
They're willing to lower their price to get the sale. But it don't matter. I'm gonna be a proud owner of a bed after I think end of April.
10 to 12
I might be
business
sleeping
days.
comfy.
Ooh.
I might be sleeping comfy, bro.
He's sleeping. Streamer slip.
Never slept with no back problem or any joint pain when he wakes up. Quite exciting.
Alright. So, I have a question for you today, sir.
Of course, now that we're done with our pleasantries.
I'm actually making you decide what the episode is today.
Ooh, monkey noise. I'm excited.
So,
All
your
right, what do we
choices
got?
are we can properly get into the Horus Heresy and all of that garbage with the Imperium, or we can sidestep that for today and do an episode on some Xenos.
You know what? I think I want to do Xenos. The Horus Harris, I think, is gonna be a long sit down.
Well, so the Horus Heresy is more than likely going to be at least 3 parts,
Excellent.
and then every single time we do an episode on a Primarch. So
Okay.
there's at least
Okay.
going to be 20 episodes where we talk about the events of the Horus Heresy. So,
Good. We won't start it now.
yeah.
Talk about this Xeno.
Okay. So, if we're doing Xenos, we gotta start at the beginning. This is a bit of a
Okay.
galactic history lesson for you today.
I got my notes and papers.
Mm-hmm. So, the story starts about 60 million years ago.
Ah, damn, that's a little long.
Yeah. 60 million years ago is nice because no matter where you are in the timeline, this is still 60 million years ago. Your 5,000 year
yeah.
gap don't mean shit, right?
True.
And it starts on a little planet where a race called the Necron are made.
Okay.
These guys kind of rolled poorly. They ended up on a planet with a very angry and active star that basically just pelted them with radiation for the entirety
What?
of their early existence. So the Necron lived short, cancer-ridden lives and then died. So much that death became a very prominent theme in their culture.
Are they like bone soldiers?
No, they're pretty much alive at this point.
Oh,
So the Necron, as they were, lived short, horrible lives, but they over time started to make progress. They became spacefaring, they inhabited other worlds. But because
wait. Those guys actually still thrived?
oh yeah,
Oh, wow.
they became incredibly technologically advanced actually. But the issue is that they still had death at the center of their culture because that's just how they are. It's been so long. So pretty much what they would do is they would build worlds, and the worlds are always referred to as tomb worlds because what is a world if not a place to bury your dead?
Interesting concept.
Yeah. And eventually they come across a different race. This race is called the Old Ones. And the Old Ones are incredibly powerful psychic beings who have perfect mastery over the Immaterium, the warp. And so, because this is pretty much the only psychic race at the time, the warp isn't the chaotic hellscape we know it as today. The warp is actually relatively calm. It's still a realm of emotion and energy, but it's not as chaotic or destructive. There are no chaos gods yet.
Of course, yeah. It's kind of like a blank canvas, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. It's a place to get energy from to fuel psychic powers, more or less, and for emotions. And these Old Ones are incredibly powerful. They don't age. They're pretty much a perfect civilization. They live in harmony with the warp so that they don't cause any discord, and they do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are so powerful that they actually built a kind of pocket dimension, a separate dimension in the warp known as the webway. And the webway is like a web of areas in the warp where it's more or less real space. So you can go into the webway and travel like it's the warp, but you're in real space for the purposes of being matter and not dying.
Okay.
And so the
Just like
Necrons,
a subway to the fucking.
absolutely.
Uh. Okay. Okay.
It's the subway tunnels under New York, but kind of the opposite.
Got you.
And the Necron tier looked at these guys and they said, "Hey, you guys are pretty strong. Maybe you could help us with your cancer issue, with our cancer issues." And the old ones took a look at them and said, "No."
No.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And so the Necron tier got salty and they started a war known as the War in Heaven. And they got their asses handed to them. Because, of course, they did. What are they going to do? And so they got pretty much just sent back to their home worlds, where they molded for a long time and had a lot of infighting. Until one day, the Necron scientists realized that there were these living energy signatures around the sun. And so they took a closer look and they're like, huh, these are probably sentient. And so what they did was they took this substance that they had called living metal. And living metal is, it's metal, it's machines, but it can take a liquid form and repair itself. So that's what all of your major machines would be made out of, and it's very malleable material. And so they built these effigies for the star things.
Okay.
And the star things inhabited the living metal bodies for them and became physical. Now, these star things are known as the Catan. The Catan are pretty much everything that the old ones are to the warp, the Catan are for real space. They are masters of real space, they're masters of physics and science.
Okay.
And so they took the already pretty advanced Necron tech and they stepped it up a level. Because, sharing their knowledge, very good. Let me grab the list of the Catan real quick.
Wait, so Catans are like what? Are they like gods of the stars of our like real plane or what?
Sort of. They mostly just hang around stars consuming the energy within them.
Okay.
But now that they have physical forms, they have, a better understanding of what actually exists in real space. There we go. So, there are more than this, but the Catan we really know the names of are Azagorod the Nightbringer. He is so influential that the concept of him has been distilled into the idea of the Grim Reaper in every culture alive.
Wow.
Which is pretty neat. He used fear and like psychological manipulation as a lot of his shtick. And then there's
damn.
Mephitran the Deceiver. He's a guy.
Oh, who?
Mephitran the Deceiver. We'll talk about him a bit more later.
Oh, wow.
And then there's Magladroth the Void Dragon. I can probably grab pictures of these guys here in a second. This guy, he's really cool.
That's exciting.
He is more than likely the reason why the Adeptus Mechanicus exists. But that's an AdMech episode.
Really?
This one's a new one to me, but we have Nephoron the Spiral Flame. Don't know anything about that. Nithradaza the Burning One. Shit. We'll talk about this guy again later, actually.
Okay.
We've got Landugor the Flayer. He created the group of Necron known as the Flare. The
Flare.
Flayers. They're really cool. But you get the point. They are incredibly powerful entities who can basically manipulate space and time at will. And so they passed a lot of their abilities and their knowledge onto the Necron tier. And the Necron tier got really, really powerful really, really fast. I'm talking, their basic weapon is called a Gauss Flare, and it just strips matter into particles.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
They're just maker robots. Can just consume matter, turn it into energy, and then turn the energy back into whatever they want it to be.
That's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, they have incredibly strong robots. Their technology, I don't know if this is... So this is shared between Golden Age humanity and Necron tier, but there's a report that they could take a spaceship and teleport a version of that spaceship from 1 second in the future back into our time, and the two spaceships would just overlap and explode.
My god.
These are absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, they can harness pocket dimensions for storage and travel and whatever else they want to do. They became incredibly powerful,
cheaters.
right?
Yeah.
And so then, one day, because the Necrons mauled constantly, they were talking to this guy called the Deceiver, Mephitran, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's like, oh, yeah, the old ones? We had problems with those guys too, right? But you see, he lied. Because the only thing that the Catan like to eat more than stars, they found out, is souls.
Oh, no.
And the Catan were like, oh, yeah, we'll help you out in this war against the old ones. And we'll even make you immortal like you asked them to. Right? And so the plan was made for the Necron tier to be transferred into bodies of living metal and become immortal. Do I have the name of the guy?
Oh wait, essentially the Deceiver tricked the Catan?
No, the Deceiver tricked the Necron.
The Deceiver is the Catan.
Yeah,
right?
he's a Catan.
And deceived the Necron to get their souls, but promised them to do liquid metal souls.
So, specifically what happens is that he works together with these guys called Cryptex. Specifically... What was this guy's name? Specifically one... Where the hell?
Who is it?
Who is it?
The Laughing God. Ha 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 ha.
There it is, Illuminor Xeras. And they said, alright, we need you to build all this stuff for us. And so what would happen is they gathered up all of the Necron tier. Everyone alive was gathered up. And they were put into these gigantic biofurnaces.
Oh no!
To be transferred to their new living metal bodies.
Yikes.
But, what ended up happening is they were brought into the furnaces and their bodies were destroyed. And, surprise, surprise, the Catan flew around and they ate all the souls. And they had a grand old time.
Damn, had a Thanksgiving.
But the Necron really were transferred into new living metal shells that were completely immortal. But not all of them got a great deal out of this. the basic people, the basic individuals, were pretty much just turned into mindless slaves.
Oh no.
They're just robots now, more or less. But kind of as you work your way up the ladder, you get nicer and nicer bodies because it's Egypt and there's a very clear hierarchy system.
There.
Yes, sir. And so the one who got the nicest body of all is the leader, the Silent King. God, I can't remember any of their names.
Silent King?
The Silent King. Cesaric. And the Silent King is the guy who made the deal with the Catan.
Oh no.
Because in his greed and his maulding to try to destroy the old ones, he kind of lost sight of what he was giving up, right? And he was deceived.
No.
And so he sees what's happening and he says, all right, we're going to fight the war with the old ones. So the war with the old ones happened. They got wrecked. Not particularly wrecked, but the Necron and the Catan were pretty strong. And so they lost the war because of two things. One is the Catan were incredibly powerful and could, teleport ships back in time to destroy their present selves, all of that. But also because as all of this war was happening, the warp got a little fucky wucky.
Oh no.
Yeah. So with
too
all
many
of
time collisions, huh?
well, that's not related to the warp. That's just pure science.
Okay.
The Necron and the Catan are actually completely incapable of interacting with the warp. But because all of these old ones were dying and their souls were going to the warp started to get kind of chaotic.
Oh,
and the
yeah,
first
okay.
real warp entities popped out. They are called the Enslavers.
Enslaver.
Yeah, they can psychically control pretty much any psychic being. Horrifying.
Oh no.
And so between all of that happening in the warp and all of that happening in real space, the old ones were kind of backed into a wall. So what they started to do...
Ever since the slavers, I bet the slavers started to fuck with the old one.
Yeah, because they wanted to eat. And so the old ones started planting seeds. They started putting the beginnings of psychic races onto different planets. You might be familiar with some of these.
Yeah.
The favorite among the races brought up by the old ones are called the Eldar. The Eldar. And so the old ones rose up the Eldar into a proper psychic and galactic faring race. And they taught them their ways and how to use psychic powers well and everything like that. As well as the Krorks. These are the precursors to the Orcs. The Krorks are actually incredibly powerful because they are basically crafted to be killing machines. They're a lot like the orcs now.
Natural Krogan.
Yeah.
Krogans.
They're a lot like the orcs now, except for they had actual advanced technology, and the old ones were there to watch over them and keep them in line. But even through all of this, it didn't go well. The Necrons, with the assistance of the Spiral Flame guy we talked about earlier, figured out how to bore holes into the webway so that they could attack the old ones where they previously couldn't on their home turf.
So that's why the subway system is so fucked.
Yeah, part of it. It's also just it hasn't been kept up because the old ones are all dead.
Yeah.
So all of the old ones either went off to somewhere where they would never be found or died or both. And the war in heaven was over.
So wait, before you finish the War on Heaven, is there any old one to this day that we know of?
Um, there might be corpses,
Okay, but no like living entities or sage.
not that we know of,
Okay,
not explicitly.
got
And so the war in heaven ended. And Cesaric, the Silent King, looked around and he was like, damn, all my guys are robots.
it.
Sag. And
He's
so
just like
what he
so
did
sad.
is that he took the control codes for the Necrons because the Catan basically could use them as puppets. They controlled them entirely because of their robots. And he took the control codes and he brought his armies and he destroyed the Catan. But killing gods is hard,
Okay, of course.
right? So they couldn't really kill the Catan. But what they did do is they shattered their bodies into thousands of pieces.
Shards?
Yeah, shards.
The fuck? Wait, you could shatter them?
Yeah, because they can't really be killed.
Okay, and what happens next? Did they contain him, or did they fucking
Well,
like?
they contained some of them. Some of them flew off into space. It's hard to keep track of millions of shards of infinitely powerful beings.
Of course.
But they can contain and more or less control some of them.
That's
So
great.
a few of the Catan can actually be played on tabletop. Specifically,
Is there like an item that can contain it?
they're
I'm
called.
assuming it's Necron Tech.
They build these things called Tesseract vaults, which pretty much just kill the shard faster than it can rebuild itself,
Oh wow.
and use its
It's like an
power.
acid tank, huh? Acid tank with power suction.
Mm-hmm. In the picture, not a good episode.
It
So
is. It's very intriguing. You
yeah,
get to learn more about the old people.
the old people,
The
absolutely,
beginning battles.
absolutely.
The prologue.
There we go. That should be a good picture.
That is the prologue, right?
Yes, this is the prologue, and so, we'll get here.
So crazy that how it started off with. It literally is just knowledge of greed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, greed of knowledge. Then everybody's like, "Hey yo,"
Hey
and they're
yo,
like, "Hey yo,"
hey yo, y'all
and
got
then
power?
hey yo'd each other till fucking they died. They all died.
They really did. So the war is over. All the Catan are gotten rid of. I
Quote unquote rid of slash shattered into pieces contained whatever.
contained. They're batteries now, or war machines, whatever.
Batteries. Oh no.
And so, after all this happened, the Silent King looked at everything that he had become and that his people had become, and he said, "All right, this sucks. I'm going to bed."
What? Okay.
And
You've
so,
been like on a full hibernation mode.
what he did was he put all of his people to sleep on the tomb worlds.
Oh, is that where the abdicate whatever come?
No,
Oh,
this
go
is
ahead.
these are just worlds that
Oh.
these are originally Necron worlds that he put all of his people to sleep in. And then he said, "All right, I kind of suck." And he left and went
Huh?
into the galactic void. So you've got the galaxy, and that's got a lot of empty space. And then you've got the space between galaxies.
Oh,
That's a
nice.
lot of empty space. So he pretty much exiled himself to the galactic void to think about what he did for 60 million years. And the thing about this guy is that he is the top leader of the Necron. So he's got the nicest body, and he has an absolutely perfect memory. So he just exiled himself.
Essentially, he's the last known commander / survivor of Necron.
Yeah. The Deceiver.
So, wait. Then what happens to the mindless Necron?
So they were all put to sleep on Tomb Worlds.
Were they all put to sleep?
They were all put to sleep.
Okay.
And they slept there for 60 million years, really only waking if they were disturbed in any sort of way. But a few of the worlds have awoken at this point.
Okay.
Mostly by accident.
Huh?
I'm still gathering images. So what do Necrons do today? They are relatively small. They're only just recently starting to really wake up. But
oh no.
We have a few named characters.
Okay.
So the most important,
besides the Silent King.
Yeah, the most important one besides the Silent King is probably Imhotep the Stormlord.
Is that his actual name?
Yes.
Imhotep the Stormlord?
Well, his name is Imhotep, but his title is Imhotep the Stormlord.
Okay.
And so this is kind of the big shot, big head honcho, aside from the Silent King. He woke up.
Commander and chief?
Kind of. He woke up, and a lot of his dynasty is already woken up. And so he has the largest force of Necrons in the galaxy, as it stands.
Oh.
And so the Silent King has come back, and Imhotep is like, why would I listen to you? You abandoned us for 60 million years.
He's got a point.
Yeah. And others are... One of the best ones is called Trazyn the Infinite. Okay. So Trazyn has declared himself the greatest historian in all of the galaxies.
Is that true, or is he fucking going Papega?
He kind of is. He's also a kleptomaniac, mostly. So what he does is that his goal is to record the entire history of the galaxy, and he does that by stealing anything he can get his grubby little mitts on. This includes
he's a chrono klepto timekeeper.
Yeah, dude. This includes people, space marines, aliens, artifacts, the clone of a Primarch. He might have an enslaver husk.
Damn, he's like whatchamacallit? I forgot his name from Marvel. He's the collector.
Yeah,
he's literally the fucking collector.
And so he just likes to sit in his gallery and build these displays because he does legitimately record the history of the galaxy. So he builds full-scale, real reenactments of certain battles.
Wow.
Out of the people who might have taken part in them. He's really good, and he's there's a book called The Infinite and the Divine, and it's absolutely fantastic.
God damn.
But some of the Necrons didn't wake up so nicely. There's a lot of issues when you leave your computer on for 60 million years. We've kind of talked about that.
True.
And the prime example is a guy called Nemesaur Zandrek. He's kind of Emotech the Stormlord's second hand. And he doesn't know that he's a robot.
Oh no.
He believes that he is still a flesh and blood living being.
Feels bad, man.
But it's really funny because he acts like a kooky old man. Sir Hammerlock from Borderlands? That's
Yeah.
kind of how
Is
I
he like
imagine
that?
him.
God damn.
And other examples of things that can go wrong is that there's a disease, Necron disease, called the Flare virus.
Uh-oh. Flare virus.
So the Flare virus is brought along by our boy, the Catan, known as the Flare. I don't have his name handy. But he's the only one they actually killed. But with his dying breath, he cursed the Necrons to eternally hunger for flesh.
Okay.
And so these little guys are called the Flayers. They think that they can eat, and they have a constant, all-consuming hunger for flesh. But because they are robots, they cannot eat.
How do you spell flares?
Flayer.
Damn. Oh, flare as in flare.
Flayer. So they try to eat flesh, and they drape themselves in skin, and it's all kind of disgusting.
It's just it wants to be whole again.
There's a book called Twice Dead King, and it goes into very excruciating detail about what it's like to be a Flayer.
Yikes.
They describe it, they call it the Dysphorak, and it's a rogue subroutine in your brain computer that basically is trying to keep track of all of your bodily functions, and it realizes that there's not bodily functions there. So it's described as trying to breathe but not having lungs. Realizing that your heart isn't beating because you don't have one.
That's some logical time crisis.
It's a
shit.
Horrible eldritch nightmare of all of your bodily functions not existing because you don't have a body, you have a robot.
It is interesting because it's almost as if that bug is like a fragment of a soul that they've lost.
Yeah.
Right?
And another type of curse is known as the Destroyer Curse. The Destroyer Cult? It's not really a curse, it's a 50-50.
Okay.
So these guys, something went wrong. It has something to do, this is also talked about in Twice Dead King, it's a very good book. But it has something to do with the guys whose job it was to round up all the Necrons for the biotransference. Because pretty much everyone had to go whether they liked it or not. So if you didn't want to go to the biotransference, they'd just break your kneecaps and you'd be thrown in a cart. But these guys, they have something wrong with them that just makes them want to kill all biological life in the galaxy.
Wow, so they're like fucking just flood.
Yeah.
There's just a very angry flood.
And so they show up on worlds and they kill all of the noticeable ecosystem, right?
God damn.
And then after they're done with that, they start on the microbes. They want to destroy.
They're just cleaning the plate. They're like a fucking eraser of the galaxy.
They want to destroy all biological life.
Oh my god.
Pretty cool.
That's insane. And they're called destroyers.
Destroyers. They have a lot of cool models.
Do they float? Are they floaty?
Yeah,
Or
some
are
of
they
them
like
are.
one of those fucking ground pound
There's ranged ones,
shenanigans?
and then there's not ranged ones. Yeah, I'll get you some guys. Focused heavy is cool.
Are they like two-handed or four-handed? Like, does any of them have like multi-hand?
Oh yeah, more hands, more guns, brother.
Necron is now split it into like 3 factions, huh?
More or less. So the destroyers are mostly accepted in Necron society. They just kind of are kept at arm's length. But the
They're
flayers,
just like there goes that destroyer.
there he goes, killing again.
My brother doing his thing.
Yeah, but the flayers are absolutely not accepted because
Okay.
their virus can spread.
Oh, okay. So they are infectious as I thought.
But the issue is that they show up at a battle and they do their thing. They eat some flesh or whatever. And then they just disappear.
Wait, so how does it spread?
Just proximity,
Network?
I guess.
Damn, they got a fucking virus Wi-Fi?
Yeah, just by being
Wow.
near. I don't. Uncertain on whether or not it can actually spread through proximity. Sorry, I had to drink a water there.
That's all good. It's all good. I'm just so wondering, like you say it's so infectious, but is it like their existence makes a proximity infective, or is it more of like a neuron link because they're more of a hive mind now? So is it one of those like if they get too close to the connection, they get fucking influenced?
Well, the only real example of this I have is Twice Dead King, and in the Twice Dead King, it seems like pretty much you are a flayer or you aren't, and it's just how long until you succumb.
I see.
Because
Like a fucking bit victim.
because in Necron culture, living things are basically like untouchables. It's very taboo to really come into any contact with living flesh or blood or anything to do with living things.
Because it was the reference of Catan's, right?
Mm, it more
Or
has
like
to
a Catan
do.
bad, no touch.
No, like living, like organic. So
Interesting.
if a Necron touches like a human or an orc, that's very unclean and unfashionable in Necron culture. So these flayers who drape themselves in skin and try to consume flesh are very taboo. That's the flavor of it. So how actually infectious the Flayer virus is questionable, but definitely after the battle ends, Necrons will try to kill any remaining Flayers on the battlefield.
Wow.
Not sure where to go from here. Is there anything you're interested in? Any questions?
Well, so I'm assuming the flayed ones are still alive in the modern era as well.
Oh yeah, they're.
'Cause you said a couple Necrons are actually starting to wake up for real.
I mean, a lot of Necrons have been awake, but not a lot of Necrons compared to how many there are.
And then and the dude, the exiled dude,
He's back currently.
he's back.
He actually encountered the Tyranids in the Galactic Void, and he said to himself, well, that's not good.
Guess it's time.
Yeah. So he's currently going around the galaxy trying to wake up all of the Necrons. Because he thinks this is our time. Or this is as good a time as any.
He's just like, hey, wake up, bro. The world's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Not that the Tyranids really care about the Necron. But there's
Oh,
a certain the Necrons like to enslave living things. Not that they need it, they have bugs to do all of that for them. But they like the prestige of having slaves and enslaving things.
it's that's so human.
They're incredibly pompous. There's this idea in their culture that whatever like their leader says is reality, and it's his
Oh
servants
damn,
to make that reality reflect reality, to make reality
damn, that is
reflect his
some
word.
bull.
It's
That is some next level impossible task one. That's some next North Korea Kim Jong Un shite.
absolutely, there's a very much deity kind of feel to the way that they treat their rulers.
Of course, there's nothing personal against Kim Jong Un, but
Oh,
you know
absolutely
it was funny.
everything personal about Kim Jong Un. Fuck that guy. We can talk about the cryptex. Cryptex are neat.
Okay, okay.
So
Tell
the
me about.
cryptex are, you know how they say when technology becomes sufficiently advanced, it becomes indistinguishable from science
Yeah.
or from magic. When technology becomes
Yes,
significant,
I guess what
yeah.
you're
So that's what these guys are all about. They're
saying.
mages, but it's all science. So they can do everything from manipulate time to manipulate like your brain.
That's scary, right there.
Yeah, plasma, dark matter, antimatter, whatever you want to think, they can probably manipulate it. So like there's a guy called Orican the Diviner, and he can see the future by
Mm-hmm.
doing mathematical basically statistics calculations on everything in the galaxy to see the future.
God dang. Essentially a future prediction program, huh?
Mm-hmm. He has there's an artifact that lets you look at different possibilities and timelines and basically pick one to make a reality so that you don't like get hit by a bullet.
Wow. No way. That sounds quite familiar.
Yeah.
An interesting a stand. But go ahead.
Yeah, kind of like that. Or they have robes of solidified time, solidified matter. Let me look at the disciplines.
Okay. And so these guys, right? They made technology to the point of it's indistinguishable from magic. What is the first thing they made after they've acknowledged that?
Well, so we'll get into the disciplines right now.
Okay.
So the first discipline is called the Psychomancer, or the Harbinger of Despair.
Elaborate.
So they can just control your mind.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Nice and simple.
It seems to be very themed around despair and darkness and like illusions, things like that.
Okay. Okay.
So they have the Nightmare Shroud. When this small black cask is opened, the worst terrors of 1,000 aeons are unleashed on the Cryptex foes, assailing their enemies with phantasms of dread as potent as any mortal danger.
That's hot.
The Veil of Darkness. With a simple wave of its skeletal hand, the Cryptek can summon a billowing sheet of almost tangible shadow, enveloping it and nearby allies before disappearing along with the enshrouded Necrons. When the darkness ebbs, the Cryptek and his comrades have disappeared, only to rematerialize some distance away.
Jesus. Holy damn.
And if that's not cool, you've got the Plasmancer, Harbingers of Destruction. These
And
are
these are like still part Necrons,
they
right?
are full Necrons.
To an extent. No, so they are full
They're
Necrons.
like
Okay.
the Necron scientists.
Okay. Okay.
These guys have gaze of flame. Some plasmancers choose to implant hidden weaponry within their own bodies. Many Necrons find this practice unsavory, at best. Few, however, would question the harbinger of destruction to his face, particularly when that face may conceal all manner of terrifying weaponry. When in battle, the eyes of a cryptek who has granted himself the gaze of flame burn with an unnatural ghostly fire, stealing away both an assailant's speed and inducing a great fear of the cryptek.
God damn!
Solar
Fucking
pulse.
speech. That's insane.
Often,
What are these
often
abilities?
incorporated into an eldritch lance, the solar pulse unleashes a sizable portion of the lance's energy, not as a coherent beam, but as a bright flash of light as a solar flare.
Jesus.
We got chronomancers, harbingers of eternity. Guys manipulate time.
That's fucking whack.
Chronometron. The bearer of this arcane device exists slightly outside of the flow of time, allowing him to glimpse possible futures and modify his recent actions accordingly.
That's OP.
Right?
They literally is just the Time Lords.
Absolutely. Ethermancers, harbingers of the storm. They manipulate the weather. Ether crystal. An ether crystal can control the fundamental forces of nature, summoning storms from tranquility and lightning from clear skies. In seconds, the chosen area is assaulted by gale force winds from nowhere as black storm clouds gather to block out the sky.
God dang.
Lightning fields. Surrounded by a crackling incandescent electricity that arcs across his body and any nearby Necrons, bolt of emerald lightning
cool.
arc between the cryptek and his comrades, electrocuting any foe who comes near.
That's all cool.
This one's cool.
It's like whatchamacallit? It's like a lightning armor that's just get permacasted on.
Mm-hmm. Alchemist, harbingers of transmogrification.
Oh no.
Harp of dissonance. Many an enemy has underestimated the power of this strange alchemical weapon, most often fatally. An irregularly shaped metallic casket, a harp of dissonance is laced with numerous strings of different materials, each perfectly calibrated to a precise level of tension. A correctly played note, when amplified and focused through the arcane technology housed within the harp, can burst the molecular bonds of nearly any material, transmitting it to brittle porcelain.
Christ. It's the harp of deconstruction.
Seismic crucible. A skilled geomancer with a seismic crucible may command the very earth beneath his feet, and more importantly, the feet of his enemies. Makes earthquakes.
I mean, yeah. That doesn't sound cool, but the things you can do with it is actually depending on the user. So yeah, it's pretty OP.
Mm-hmm. We got technomancers.
That's like Gara shit.
Gara shit.
Uh-huh.
These guys basically they specialize in augmenting and changing the bodies of Necron.
Oh, they're fucking they're techno nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So mad scientists.
These guys, some examples of things they can do is they can like augment someone's body with a weapon, or again, Twice Dead King Rain. One of these technomancers puts different sub-minds into this guy's brain so that he can be fully in the moment and have his sub-minds think and have different personalities and basically advise him. It's really cool.
How many of them are there?
A lot.
God
They're not
damn.
common,
So
but they're kind of just nobility.
okay, so each class you've mentioned are nobilities. They're not like classes.
Well, no, they're like areas of research.
Okay.
It's like being a chemist or a engineer.
A different department.
Yeah, because these are the scientists of the Necron
Damn,
race,
scientists are so OP. What the hell?
right? What else is there to talk about? I'll do dynasties later. I'll get
I
into
believe you
the
should do that later.
I'll do the nitty gritty on their war gear and their troops later.
Alright. Unfortunately, we gotta wrap this up.
All right, brother. Gonna be a bit of a shorter episode because
I agree, but that's okay. We can do another one, and you can just recap it and explain it to me because unfortunately, I've used a little too much human charisma interaction than I anticipated, and I am drained.
all right, brother.
So, thank you guys so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. You know where you can find me at Two Love Trouble at on Twitter and Twitch, and where they can find you, Mr. Beast.
You can summon me in the comments below.
Oh, snap. I keep the bees. Make sure you look an eye for them.
That's not my name on YouTube. You'll see me. I'll talk to you. You just gotta comment.
You gotta fucking, you gotta get that thing together, my man.
Yeah, true.
But other than that, ended us off.
Thanks everyone. This has been a whack episode. But we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Damn, bro, that was shit.